What is going on? Welcome back to the Third and 20 podcast, episode 22. This is a special one because the episodes are now going up on YouTube. So if you're interested in getting the extra visual experience, come on, check us out on YouTube, Third and 20. And I'm with you. My name is Frank Entwistle, Jesus. And I'm with my main man right here, Ryan Steed. What's going on, Ryan?
What's up, dude? New platform. I'm liking it.
Yeah, you like this little? I can do these little things. Oh, baby, look at this. Look at this.
A little bit different than Skype.
So, okay, we're gonna get started off. We're gonna be talking about the Chargers, the LA Chargers. It's the same story as the San Diego Chargers. They
hmm
just can't hold on to a game in the fourth quarter. I kind of want to hear your take on this because what's the problem? Is it Anthony Lynn? Is it just a curse? What is going on that they just cannot find a way to win games at the end?
Well, the first thing is there's no such thing as curses. Took one out of the old Friday Night Lights movie quote. Even though I'm like one that does like see the idea of curses, but I don't think it's a curse, man. I just think it's a little mixture of everything, like bad luck, definitely. Just the inability to close out games very is very known with this team, and it's been like that for years. Now, do I fully blame Anthony Lynn and the coaching staff? No, but like they got to take some kind of blame. Don't like it's just especially like if you go from last year and this year, they just keep on blowing games late, and it's just at this point like maybe you need a culture change in that locker room. I think Anthony Lynn's a good guy, knows the game very well. But like if you're establishing if I'm a player in that locker room and we're up a couple scores in the second half, I'm thinking it's like we're only up three because like no lead is safe with us. And the way to fix that is number one thing that comes to my head is just go on and completely tear it down, get rid of like the GM coach and just restructure everything and do a complete whole identity change and see if that helps you. But who knows if that's the problem? Is they're in that just weird situation where like it's a talented team, you expect them to compete more at what they're doing. I mean, if they win these games that they've been choking away, I mean, they're right in the thick of this little playoff in the AFC. And it's a tough aspect because like it's one of those things like when you're sitting there watching it as a fan, it makes no sense, and it's not like a true real answer out there why they, well, at least to me, why they're choking away these games. Like I would have to sit down and really watch Chargers film like for hours and be like, well, okay, like I mean, is it their defense? Are they just not doing something right here? Personnel? I mean, but I think I would put a little blame on the head coach just solely because at the end of the day, like winning the game is your job. And if you're just not getting it done, you're finding ways to lose games. And you're not one of those franchises that when in doubt, like if they're down, they're up just by a little, they'll figure out a way to win. And they're on the complete opposite side of the spectrum where they look to find a way to lose a game. So I don't know. Something's got to change in that organization to me.
Yeah, that's actually you kind of stole my point there. Is that I think just because the NFL is such a tight league, it's super competitive. Every season you see, it's just some teams are just a game or two out of the playoffs that definitely deserve to be playoff teams, and sometimes vice versa. But to be a good team in the NFL, you have to be able to find a way to win football games. And I think you just look at some of the top tier organizations in the league, right? Seattle, I think, is a great example. Maybe like Pittsburgh and Baltimore and Kansas City now. And these are just teams that when it comes down to crunch time, and not that this happens every week in every game, but when it's the end of the football game, they find ways to win or keep it close and put themselves in winning positions. And the Chargers have, they're close, like you said. They're in these games at the end, but they're not able to put that exclamation point and come out of these games with wins. And going back to what you think the problem is, I think you're right. A little bit of that blame has to be on the head coach because win, lose, or draw, the head coach takes full responsibility for everything. And, looking at that game, I mean, you're up 21-3, I'm pretty sure,
Hmm.
in that game. And then Philip Lindsay busts a big rushing touchdown. Like, offensively, you could have had some more production. I know they had some turnovers. Defensively, I think is the obvious one, giving up a pass interference. I'm pretty sure on third down with 3 seconds left, and then 1 second left. Like, so you just give the Broncos a play at the 1 yard line to allow them to win the game. Like, you just can't do that. But I mean, I do think that you have to put this on Anthony Lynn just because the team is too talented to not just to lose that game, but the past couple of seasons just to lose the way that they did. And then I think a lot of people remember the playoff game too when they got absolutely embarrassed. Um,
About the Patriots.
yeah, by the Patriots. So like I feel for Anthony Lynn because I really don't think he's a bad coach. At the end of the day, if you were to rank out all the coaches in the league, I don't think he's top 10, but I'm also not sure he's bottom 10 either. So I think the Chargers in general spot because you can't say, "Oh, we need to get rid of him," but you also can't say, "Oh, well, Anthony Lynn, he's done a great job. I really trust him at the end of the game." So they're in a
Yeah,
weird spot. Um, but I do
it's
think
just
with Justin Herbert, because once again, going back to those, okay, these are organizations that find ways to win at the end. A lot of them have a quarterback that you can trust. And once you get Justin Herbert with some more experience under his belt, he knows the offense a little bit better. If there's those drives, especially compared to Philip Rivers, where you need a score, whether it's a field goal or a touchdown with Justin Herbert, where he has the ball 2 minutes left, just from early tape and early playing from Justin Herbert, he's about halfway through his first NFL season. Man, he looks like a guy that can really rip the football and be a guy that could be that franchise quarterback you can trust with little time left, game on the line.
well, that's one thing about this whole little, like the Chargers um, chugging away leads is that like I see like an out where they can play him like the rookie quarterback kind of, but like Herbert's playing pretty excellent and playing far above everyone's standards. But this has been a known problem for the Chargers even when they had Philip Rivers. I mean, they blew leads or had a chance to win a game last year, and we all knew Philip Rivers choking and throwing interceptions in the last 2 minutes. The problem could something be as simple as like like Phil Lindsay busting that big run. That's a momentum change there. Like if they allow the other team get back in it and give them the feeling like, hey, we can do this. It's all nice and dandy to go up big up on a team, but if you're not able to withhold that lead and you get some questionable calls or something, and I just think they always are able to bring the other team back to life a little bit. And momentum plays huge swings, like in sports and especially in the NFL too. And these are professional players; they're not going to quit unless they're playing for the Jets. And like, it could be something simple as that. Like, that comes back to like coaching, like with discipline or whatever. But I if I'm the Chargers and I'm in that locker room, I'm saying it doesn't matter if we're up 24 nothing or 3-0. You got to treat it like it's a tied ball game and go at 100% because they're not one of those teams like a Steelers, Ravens, Chiefs. When they're up big, they can play at probably 80%, 75%, and save people in the tank for later on games because like first of all, I think it comes on with like better coaching and just not better all around players, but just like the presence of knowing where they are in the game. Like, I feel like the Chargers are a type of team, they're up big. They still have to fire in all cylinders or they're going to lose the game. And that could just be simply their identity.
One last thing I want to bring up that I feel about the Chargers before we move on is that, yeah, I'm a big Bill Walsh guy. I've read a couple of his books. I highly recommend them because they are just really informational about football and from a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. And he said in one of his books, I forget exactly which one, that basically the most powerful part of your roster, which you would not expect, is that bottom 25% for a couple of reasons. One, once it's late in the season and you really need to rely on some guys, like you're never going to have a season without injuries and without problems. And it's these guys that at the weirdest times and at crucial times, especially, are the ones that have to step up and make plays a lot of the times. And in
Hmm.
facets of the game, you wouldn't expect things like special teams, rotational plays like in the third quarter where your starting guys are tired and they need to be subbed out. So maybe your star running back, your star receiver took a hard hit on a second down, and all of a sudden you're in a 3rd and 7, and you have your fourth or fifth receiver out there that needs to make a play. So, and he also argued that they have a large influence on the locker room. If you don't have these bottom guys, then that trickles into the top guys where, okay, if these bottom guys really believe in the coaching staff and really believe in the atmosphere and buy in, then everyone will buy in. Just that little bit more that you need. And the Chargers are just one of these teams that I just have to question whether or not they have that bottom 25% of their roster with them, because this has happened year after year after year where they'll have leads like you said and blow them, and they'll be able to come back in some games and fall just short, and just little ways to lose here and there. So I have to beg the question, especially because we looked at their roster coming into the season. A, is the bottom 25% of their roster good enough? And B, are these guys buying in? Watching
Um,
the Anthony Lynn Hard Knocks, I think they are bought in, but I'm not sure they're talented enough, at least across the board. Especially on the defensive side of the football, this Chargers team is always losing. They've lost Derwin James the past 2 years. They just traded away King, their corner, who supposedly was a locker room hazard. But like, you look at their starting lineup every year and you say, "Oh man, this is really good." Like, they have a whole lot of talented players. They always have a couple of new additions, some good draft picks and whatnot. But do they have the entire team? I'm a big Steelers fan. You can see the sign right here now. First time you can see the Steelers fan parking only. But
I took my Falcon stuff off.
like the Steelers, especially under Mike Tomlin, have just always been next man up. It doesn't matter injuries. If you have, an AB pulling a crazy person, next man up. And they live by that. They don't just say it, they live by it. And the example I can bring up, you see last week against the Ravens, Isaiah Buggs, a former 6th or 7th round pick, makes a huge play on 4th down to stop Lamar Jackson in the red zone and give us the football to set us up for a win. 2 weeks ago, Robert Spillane stepped up for an injured Devin Bush, makes a huge hit on Derrick Henry, has a big game, has had some interceptions, and has really turned the tide for this defense and made some really big plays. When do you see this out of the Chargers consistently? This next man up. So I think that that's the one of the main problems I have with the Chargers at face value. Like you said, we're going to be doing a healthy dive into why the Chargers are charging these games all the time, but from face value,
Yeah,
I think that that's one of the big problems with them.
yeah, that's a good point. Their bottom half of the roster is definitely not as lead as the teams you named, and it's a good point because like if you look at like some talented top end team, like talented teams that are not doing well, like the Falcons, Cowboys, Chargers, like their top end talent is very well, and they should like on paper, you're like these teams should be doing better than they are. But like if you have a lot of key injuries, Dak going down, the Falcons have always messed with injuries, and now Chargers haven't had Derwin James on the field for what like 3 games last 2 years, or barely even that. That really hurts your team because some of those players, like those players, fill a big role and have to carry the team. Like Derwin James plays a significant part in that defense, and like you might be able to contend for a little while, but like at some point, if your bottom end of your talent is not good, and can't keep up with the rest, then you're going to get shown. And that could be a big hole for why they blow away these leads late, is because they don't have that one guy that makes a key stop or turns the tide of the table and comes up with a key interception like a slot corner or something you never heard of. And that's definitely a problem too. And that comes with drafting, scouting, and just maybe some like key free agent signings they're just missing out on. And like also I feel like that's where a lot of teams are missing because you don't see that of the Ravens. We know the Ravens have a deep depth chart. Steelers are the same thing, always really good drafting. Patriots, I mean, Tom Brady era, I know they had the GOAT, but like also Belichick had deep depth charts. Like who knew about really Malcolm Butler before he made that interception against Seahawks? Like it's just those teams get it right, and it's just always hard for me to if being a fan of a team that just sees these teams consistently being successful is because their team in a whole is just well rounded, not even the top end talent, but their bottom half of the team is not just as good, but it's playable. You can trust
Yeah.
these guys to step up and make a play when you can. Because like, why wouldn't you want that? Like, what's holding you back? Is that just scouting in the fifth and seventh round? You're just like saying, screw it. Like, we're not going to get anyone special. I mean, you can get a lot of stills in those
I think
rounds.
it's
And
probably organizational continuity that's holding that back. The fact that um, you look at the Patriots, they're probably one of the best ran organizations. Same thing with the Steelers and Ravens. Everyone's on the same page. It's like a company, You can tell a good company from a bad company, When a good company, everyone knows their role. Everyone's on the same page. There's clear channels of communication. The people at the top aren't shit at what they do, They're very competent. I think, especially a team like the Jets, you can see the dysfunction. You can see that
they got no
okay,
top
there's
end talent.
definitely incompetence somewhere, and a lot of people point to Adam Gase, the head coach. You can't really deny that too much. So I think with the Chargers, there could be some incompetence somewhere in the organization, whether it's a certain player or staff members. Now, I think it's also hard for the NFL just because it's so ultra competitive. Just the slightest of advantages can make such a huge difference between a win and a loss. But and also, I didn't want to argue that okay, the Chargers, like if you lose starting players, you should be able to have bench players that fill in and play just as well. No, like if you have a ton of injuries, then you're going to get screwed no matter what. But you have to be able to overcome a couple injuries here and there, a couple problem spots here and there. Like, you can't just rely on your starting caliber players to lead you to a championship. It is a 53-man roster at the end of the day, and you need to have 53 guys that can play. And the closer you are to having the more complete lineup where the next man up philosophy works, the better chance you have at winning a Super Bowl and having a contingency plan for when things go wrong. So I think we've shat on the Chargers enough. I mean, we kind of hyped them up a little bit. We kind of hyped them up. Um,
I mean,
let's get in.
they got Herbert.
Yeah, they got Herbert. I think the future is bright for the LA Chargers. I think that whether it's a coaching change or not, I think that they're in a really good position to I think overtake the Rams as the team of LA. Right now, the Rams have been the dominant team, not necessarily in terms of talent, but just in terms of results. I mean, the Rams were in a Super Bowl. They're having a better season this year. I think most people would argue, probably everyone, that McVay's the better coach. Um, the Chargers do have the better quarterback right now, it seems like, but I think the Chargers are in a spot to overtake the Rams. They just need to start clicking. Things need to start clicking for them. They need to find ways to win games, and if once they're able to do that, I think they're so close. Once they're able to do that, they can be a force to be reckoned with and a really scary team. But let's move on. Let's move on to I want to talk about the Javon Wims fight for a little bit because I have a take. I have a take. The Saints defensive backs are easily the best trash talkers in the NFL. 100%. 100%. And Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is just a punching magnet. He's probably the leader of the gang because in the Saints practice a couple weeks ago, they got into Michael Thomas's head, calling him slant boy. And now
There you
all of
go.
a sudden, Javon Wims, Gardner Johnson eats a couple punches that practice. Then during the game, they get Javon Wims, Chauncey Gardner Johnson just eats a couple punches there. Like, is this a common theme now? I think that the Saints have a legitimate competitive advantage by talking the best smack to opponents' receivers. And I'm expecting at least one more punch this season.
Definitely. That's a good point because like we've all seen like receivers are like very prima donna too. Like they think they're the boss of the field. Like you look at all the people that cause drama, and that's most of the time like you look at Michael Thomas, Javon Wims, you look at AB, and there's a handful of others that just they talk crap and they can't really handle talking crap, getting crap back talked to them. And you're right, the Saints like listen, that Saints defense always under Sean Payton has been a very like trash talking kind of like a dirty team. And a little bit of shock that they didn't fight back. But I mean, I guess he was just bullying, just eating the punches. But yeah, I'm guessing it was just trash talking. He probably like said something that just really triggered Javon Wims off.
Yeah,
I
I've
mean,
got it pulled up here. I've got it pulled up here. Let's watch this.
oh, you got the fight pulled.
Yeah, I've got the fight pulled up. So like it's just that he's not like Gardner Johnson's not even covering him. All of a sudden he turns around and
He
just
had his
starts
back behind
socking
him.
him. Like what dude, shout out to Gardner Johnson too, because he just eats these. I mean, granted, he's got a helmet on, so like why
Kind of
punch
hurt
him with a
Javon
helmet on?
Wims more, right?
I guess it's just like for dominance, but dude, he's just out here just like what the hell?
Yeah, I just like how like he gets the first punch, and then he just kind of looks like confused, like what's going on, and then he just keeps on attacking him.
I think on one of the replays you see him, he's like talking some shit. Yeah. So he's like Gardner Johnson's talking crap to Anthony Miller for those that can't see. Basically, him and Anthony Miller, I think it's on the play before or at the end of the play, were jawing with each other. And I guess he said something that pissed off Javon Wims enough to just randomly run over to him after the play and just sock him in the face twice. But I just thought that that was a funny moment from the games. Just and it was like so out of nowhere, which was the funniest part.
Yeah, and I don't know if we'll ever know what like really was in the like cause of it, because like Javon Wims, he's like commented on it and he's like apologized, and of course that's gonna happen. But I mean, it's very peculiar, Like it was definitely between the lines. He talked some smack, and then like it just like fueled him up, and he's like, "Screw it, man! Like I suck. I'm a fourth or fifth receiver on this team, and I'm gonna throw a punch."
Yeah, it's just most fights for the NFL, you can like see what triggers it. Okay, you saw them jarring the game before, maybe there's a little history between the guys. This one, it was just like I think Javon Wims just lost his temper. Like, because they're every game there's a ton of trash talk. But like obviously but like you're right, he's like a bench player. I mean, no offense to the Wims or anything, but this could significantly hurt your chances of making another roster in the future because you can be on the equal playing field as someone else and the head coach says, "Well, okay, this guy didn't just start randomly throwing punches one game, so I guess we're going to go with him."
Frustration might be coming out because like the Bears' offense this year hasn't been exactly like
Elite.
you know good. Been very dicey, and the Saints are going to get in your head, man. That's how Sean Payton is. Like Sean Payton will be on the sideline too, get in your head too. He'll talk some smack as well. I remember when the Saints played the Falcons a couple years ago, and he's doing the choking sign to Devontae Freeman.
Yeah, I
Like I mean,
remember
they're
that.
just
That was great.
that's who they are. And that's on you if you're able to take it or not. But apparently, Javon Wims had enough of the smack talk, just couldn't handle it anymore. Rather get suspended for 2 games.
Yeah, he got suspended for 2 games. I mean, I'm not sure that really impacts the Bears at all. Yeah, I've got it pulled up here. Let me just show it on the screen. Bang time. Yeah, here's Sean Payton with the choking.
Yeah.
Saints head coach Sean Payton is under fire after making choking gesture at opposing player. Jesus.
That was wild.
That's a little bit over the top in my opinion, just because obviously he's not meaning it as like, "Oh, I want you to choke and die." Like it was because they
Yeah,
choked
no,
the Super Bowl,
it was a year after the Super Bowl.
but like still, it's a little aggressive. That's
I mean,
just
I
a
thought it was
little
funny
aggressive.
as hell.
I mean, listen, I'll let it stand, but it's just on the line. It's just on the line of a little bit too much.
Oh,
Okay,
poor Devontae.
we've got an interesting little segment I want to do here, right? We kind of did it earlier in the year on one of our previous podcasts where like we pick like we have 2 options and we pick one. And this is going to be halfway through the season quarterbacks edition, all right? So I've
Yeah,
got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've got 9 guys, so like 9 matchups that we have to pick from. All right. And I'm going to ask him to Steed and then answer after. So, Steed, you ready to kick this off?
yeah, let's get it.
Number one, speaking of the Chargers, and this is, should we do it for long term or just this year? Probably just this year. I mean, the first one
Just
we'll
this
do
year.
for long term because this is a fun one. Long term, Justin Herbert or Joe Burrow?
Yeah, that one I could see like a lot of people leaning either way. I would personally go Joe Burrow. Since like if we're talking long term, I just think Joe Burrow is like the more pro quarterback to me. Like you could kind of just see like his maturity already through 8 games and his success. I know Herbert has had a ton of success, but I truly think like, and I think we can all agree that the Bengals' talent on is, is a lot worse than the Chargers' talent. And the growth I see in Burrow, I mean, like, dude, the Bengals are asking Burrow lot to throw a lot, and he's keeping them in these games. Like they're covering, like they have to be up there in the top, at least top 15 against the spread this year. And I simply think that's because Joe Burrow and just like how efficient he already is. It looks like he makes the right decision. And it's just more pro court. And like Herbert's had a really good start. I know Herbert's thrown for probably I think he's had more yards and touchdowns and less starts. But then again, like we're talking about kind of two different players as well. Like I think Burrow's a more of a guy that he's going to like take what's given, but Herbert's also a guy who's going to like, I mean, I'm going to chunk this thing deep as well. But I would take Burrow. I've always been a Burrow guy from day one, so I like, especially like I just see like at the end of their career, like Joe Burrow having more success than Justin Herbert.
Interesting. I'm looking at their passing stats right now. So Justin Herbert has um through 6 starts, so 2 less starts than Burrow, 67.4% completion percentage, 8,020 yard no, 8,000,
Jesus
1,820 yards.
Christ, dude, he's going to the Hall of Fame
Yeah,
now.
he's 8,000 yards, 8K yards, just shattering the record. Um,
How are the Chargers losing these games?
yeah, 1,800 yards, not 8,000, 1,800. 15 touchdowns, 5 picks. Pretty honestly, really, really impressive.
Yeah,
But Joe Burrow, um, through 8 starts, 67% completion percentage, 2,300 yards, just shy of 20, 11 touchdowns, 5 picks.
yeah. I mean, do we look at it like? I mean, I'm sure if Herbert started, the 2 more games too, along with Joe Burrow, he'd be up there too. But I mean, Joe Burrow's going to throw for 4,000 yards in his rookie campaign. That's pretty impressive.
I mean, yeah, these guys are both so good. I mean, I think everyone can agree that Herbert's been playing better statistically speaking. I mean, he's averaging over 300 yards a game, um, and he's averaging about 15 higher in passer rating a game. Um, but man, like you're right, that lack of the big thing is just the Bengals' offensive line, especially to start the season. Recently, they've gotten a little bit better, but to start the season, they were so trash, dude. They were
They
terrible.
were. And, I would blame a couple of those turnovers on that offensive line. And I think Joe Burrow's stats, well, any quarterback stat would be better with a good O line, like, first of all. But, I mean, just look at it. I'm pretty sure Joe Burrow is leading the league in sacks. Like, I think he's taking the most sacks.
I wouldn't be surprised. I'll pull that up right now. Um, real quick though. I'm also gonna pick Joe Burrow. Oh man, it's so hard to both pass on Justin Herbert just because Herbert's been so ridiculously good. But I just think that Joe Burrow has shown so much maturity. Like, A, the way he's able to spread the ball, B, just looking at his tape, just taking what the defense gives him. I love how willing he is to check down and throw underneath when it's open, of course. Um, and
Yeah,
just
he's
like,
number two.
his overall toughness because I mean, Burrow's just taking hits, man. And we saw the play last week where he's like scrambling around a ton and then getting a first down. Like, I just think that these guys both passed the eye test, but for what I want in a franchise quarterback, to just not just to be a flash in the pan and have one good season because we've seen, I mean, Carson Wentz, his first two seasons was absolutely unbelievable and ridiculously polarizing as a player. But now you see, okay, all of the Eagles fans seem to hate him. You know, that could happen for someone like Justin Herbert. I just think
Yeah.
less so for Joe Burrow will that scenario happen, and more so for Justin Herbert can I see that scenario happening. So I'm going to lean Joe Burrow. Just
Joe Burrow is number two in sacks. Number one, he's got 28 already this season, so he's on pace for 56. And Carson Wentz is number one. He's got 32 sacks.
that's not a surprise whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, like that Thursday night game they played against the Giants, which Daniel Jones is, I think, what was he, third on the list? Yeah, he's third on the list with 23. Dang, dude.
Yeah,
And like you look at it,
I'll show this
you
right now, real quick.
like besides like Joe Burrow, really like I know he has a lot of like some picks and some fumbles, but like Carson Wentz and Daniel Jones have a lot of turnovers. Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
so here it is. And I mean Carson Wentz is someone that's just been holding on to the ball for a millennium. Same thing with Daniel Jones, Deshaun Watson, Minshew definitely a lot of the time. Now Minshew and every like there's definitely a clear gap between Minshew and the rest. I mean,
Yeah,
13 less sacks than Carson Wentz. So let's not act like, they're necessarily in the same tier. But I mean, you're right. Like this is definitely more so on and there is a little bit of inexperience as well from Joe Burrow. I mean, this is his first year in the offense. Um, so you're gonna see some sacks, but you'd rather all these sacks and all these interceptions. And I think, look at the two guys that he's around as well. You have 12 interceptions from Carson Wentz, 9 interceptions from Daniel Jones, but then 5 from Joe Burrow, which I think is a really good sign because you're seeing he's under pressure a ton, but not turning the ball over like some of his also under pressure counterparts. So I think that's a really nice sign from Joe Burrow. And man, the Bengals need to upgrade that offensive line. They spent 0 picks on offensive line last year. They did draft that first round tackle out of Alabama, Jonah Williams, 2 years ago, who missed last season but is back this year. But still, we need some offensive line help in Cincinnati. Protect Joe Burrow at all costs.
Yeah, and they'll definitely address that this offseason, I suppose. Like they'll be a top 10 pick, so they should be able to get like maybe even the first offensive lineman off the board, just depending the, I'm saying like the college football season's young, they're more than halfway done, but you still got camp and you got combine, then you got scouting. Like there's still a lot of time, so I don't know. But yeah, they'll definitely address that. Or at
Okay,
least
let's
they
move on to the
should.
next one. This one's just for this season. Baker Mayfield or Kirk Cousins?
Dude,
And just
this is tough.
real quick before you go, this bucket I really like as well, just because I feel like Baker and Kirk, both of their offensive coordinators, have been saying to them, just chill out, dude. Like, stop trying to make so many crazy throws. And just from watching the games, it looks like both of the offensive coordinators have like limited the playbook a little bit. I think more so for Cousins maybe than for Baker Mayfield, but it just looks like both guys are trying to hone the picks a little bit from both of these guys, hone the turnovers, just tone it down a little bit, guys. Let's just have some easy throws. So, who are you
Yeah,
going
I
going
mean,
for this bucket?
it's tough for me. I would lean Kirk Cousins, and that's simply because, I was a huge Baker guy, and I definitely think in the new Stefanski offense, like he's being very limited on what he can do. They're very run heavy, and if he has to make a throw, they'll tell him make a throw. But if I'm playing a big game this season, I would trust Kirk Cousins to make a couple more bigger throws, I think, than Baker Mayfield. And I know Baker's arm talent is still is off the charts still and all that, but I think I would go with the veteran. I'd take Kirk Cousins. Now, are the Vikings going to make playoffs? No, hell no. But
Wow, down the Vikes.
I mean, what? They're like 2-5, 2-6. Like they're
You
done.
can always
They're in the
turn it
water.
around. There's an extra
What
playoff
are they
spot
gonna win
now.
eight
Come on,
games in a
man.
row? No shot they win 8 games in a row. The lo-
I'm not doubting the Vikings, dude. Vikings, let's go Vikings. If you're a
I'm
Vikings
down.
fan, I'm with you. You guys still got a shot.
They won't get 6 wins this year.
Oh, come on.
They
They're
won't
getting
get
hot,
more.
dude. They just beat the Packers.
Okay, I mean, they had 2 wins.
And you're
I mean, the
taking Kirk
Falcons
Cousins.
just
Why are you
beat the
taking Kirk
Panthers and they
Cousins
beat the
if you're just gonna
Vikings. I don't
pound the
think.
Vikings into the ground? What the hell, dude?
Yeah, if you're 2-6 at this point, you're not doing anything. Like unless something crazy happened, you went on
No,
8-0
don't doubt
run.
him, man. Come on, remember
I'm
the
down.
1-5 Colts from 2 years ago, I believe it was, when they came back and ran the table to the playoffs. Now there's an extra playoff spot. They don't even have to run the table. They can still
Look
they
at their
can lose one
division.
more game and
Look
still
at
make the playoffs.
look at their division
They already got
compared to
both
the
Packers
Vikings.
games out of the way. Oh, you're telling me? Don't tell me the Bears. Listen, I'd be a little bit scared of the Bears, but come on, the Vikings can easily beat the Bears as long as they put up more than like 30 points.
I was
Granted, that's
thinking the
difficult against the
Lions,
Bears
dude.
defense, but
I was thinking
the
Lions.
Lions, you're scared of the Lions? The Lions are the
Yeah,
most
dude.
inconsistent team of all time. They
Yeah,
play better on the
they're
road
still
than they do at
home.
home.
So you think the Vikings are gonna make the playoffs, dude? I'm just saying, 2-6. I wouldn't have much faith. I'm not having
I'm
faith in
not
them.
saying that the odds are in the Vikings' favor. I'm just saying quit doubting the boys,
I'm
man.
canceling them. They're not making playoffs.
Oh, dude, that's just ridiculous. I'll bet you a beer.
I bet you a beer too.
All right. Now, fine. I would go more, but they are 2-6.
Yeah, that's tough.
I'm writing it down right now. One beer. One beer. Vikings make the playoffs.
At best, they go 8-8.
Yeah, 8-8
At
and
best,
taking that last wild card spot, running the table to the Super Bowl. Let's go, Vikings.
gonna happen.
Dude, I'm about to live bet the Vikings playoffs, man. But for this one, I'm gonna take Baker, just because I do like what I've seen out of Baker the past couple weeks. Not necessarily last week, but the weather was so bad, and if you guys remember, he had that one really nice pass down the seam to Jarvis Landry where he got nailed in the back and dropped it. I think Jarvis Landry is looking really bad this season. And this is someone
Yeah,
who
it's looking terrible.
was pretty high on Jarvis Landry coming into the season. It's just where the drops came in, man. Like
Yeah,
there's so
but
many drops.
this about Jarvis Landry, he's looking bad at receiver. That quarterback, Jarvis Landry's been tossed in the pill a
Yeah,
little.
he has been
So
tossing the pill.
he's been stepping up in that position.
I think he probably has a higher QBR
I don't think he's
than
throwing an incomplete
Baker.
pass.
Let's see. Can I go by QBR here? But yeah, I'm gonna go Baker. I just think he offers you a little bit more. Um, Also, Kirk Cousins just has so many picks this year, man. He's a pick machine, dude. I just think that you get like not only is the talent on Baker Mayfield, he's thrown less picks. He's looking a lot like he looks like he's improved from the beginning toward to now of the season. He's starting to get the offense with Stefanski. Like,
I'm just looking at it like this. If when I'm taking effect when we're picking this quarterback, is that if I had to play a big game to get in the playoffs for a playoff game, like who are you taking? You still taking Baker?
no, I'm
I mean,
taking
I
Kirk
trust
Cousins.
Baker
One
to
game,
go in
I'm
that
taking
game.
Kirk
Like,
Cousins. The thing is that Kirk Cousins is a quarterback that you give him like any game, like just a random game. Kirk Cousins can go out there and throw for like 500 yards and 7 touchdowns. Like that's just the kind of guy Kirk Cousins is. When he's hot, he's hot. And Baker
for
Mayfield,
100
like
yards and
you can argue
7
the same
receptions.
thing for Baker Mayfield, but I think Kirk Cousins is just you take both guys when they're hot, Kirk Cousins just goes crazy. Like, but at the same time, I think that Baker has a little bit of a higher floor. When Kirk Cousins isn't playing well, your offense is gonna have like 40 passing yards, 4 picks, 3 points at halftime because they have a good rushing attack. Like Kirk Cousins can go out there and just play like dog crap. But he can
Hmm.
also go out there and you get MVP level Kirk Cousins just going crazy. So I think for one game, I'd rather have Kirk Cousins. For an entire season, I think I can. I like Cousins though. I love him, but ah, give me Baker. Just give me Baker.
The thing is, I like Baker. I like Baker more, but I'm going Kirk. Like, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. I mean, it's just for one season. Like I understand if you like Baker's outlook long term, but this is just for one season. Which man, yeah, I'm just gonna go with Baker. Okay, next one. Let's just go on to the next one. Carson Wentz or Sam Darnold this season, not long term.
Trash year, dude. Trash
Yeah, it
year.
makes it tougher, doesn't it?
Dude, oh man. I'm gonna go Carson Wentz, and this is why is because I know Carson Wentz with the turnovers, the picks, the fumbles, and Carson Wentz decline. It looks like this season is bad, but and I know he's playing the trash NFCs, but there's one thing I get with Carson Wentz, and you see it with Sam Darnold too. Sam Darnold's playing with a pile of junk. But Carson Wentz, at the end of the day, like it doesn't matter who they're playing, he somehow will keep them in that game, and he can make a play late. And if it's for one season, I know Carson Wentz. If I need a couple big plays and clutch time, Carson Wentz can make that play. Now, Sam Darnold, the talent is definitely there. You see him with some of these ridiculous throws he makes, but also like I don't know. That's tough because like I would much rather take any other quarterback on any team, but I'm gonna go Wentz.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the stat, this funny little stat that I found today about the NFC East. Um oh, I actually think I texted it to you. All right, you ready for this? This is a
Oh, the
funny
Black
one, all
Cat.
right? Yes. So, ever since the Black Cat, let me pull up a picture of him. Every if you guys remember, Monday Night Football, I believe it was last year November the during the Giants Cowboys game, in the middle of the game, a black cat just came onto the field and like Kevin Harlan had that really funny commentary over it. Let's see, Giants versus Cowboys. Ever since that black cat reared his ugly head On the NFC East, they've been a combined record 19-40-1 after that game. The
Jesus
Giants,
Christ.
since in that stretch, the Giants are 3-12 and the Cowboys are 5-11 after the Black Cat game. Eagles, easily the best since the Black Cat, 7-7-1. And then the football team is 4-10. Combine that, you get 19-40-1. So is the NFC East really the problem, or is it this Black Cat that's the problem?
I think it's the black cat, definitely. The black cat, they got to find this cat, and it's got to answer for its crimes. It's brought this division to just basically the garbage can of the NFL, where all these teams suck. But at the end of the day, you got to crown one. But yeah, I definitely blame the black cat.
Here we are. We got him. Look at this cat, dude. Look at him. He's very feral. Look at this thing.
Healthy cat too.
Yeah, actually, this is funny. After this came, look at that face, dude. Look at that face of this cat.
That's just the
Supposedly there are
face
a
of
lot of
death.
cats that live at MetLife, and they just hide during the games because there's so many crowds. Like there's so much crowd. Look at that. Tell me that's just not the eyes of destruction on the NFC East.
It is, dude. Oh my god. Oh, that fucking cat.
Ever since this cat has taken the field, the NFC East will never be the same.
Dude, that cat is so spooky. Like that cat just oozes Halloween.
Yes,
Like,
this is just the living embodiment of like the Halloween cat. Look, you got like a little bit of here, like, oh man, that is scary. That is a
a little bit of
scary
drool
cat.
or rabies? Which one?
I don't know. I don't know. Like, tell me, like, if you're locked in a room with that cat, I am just scared to death. Like, I'm not going one on one with that cat.
I'd rather be locked in a room with a cobra than that cat.
I think I'd rather be locked in the room with a serial killer than that cat, dude. That cat's scarier than
Oh
like than
god.
anything. Okay, yeah, maybe that's a little bit too far, but basically, ever since the cat, the NFC East and Carson Wentz has been just terrible. But so back to reality, back to the Sam Darnold versus Wentz thing. I think I have to go Sam Darnold because he's just you get. I know what I'm getting out of Sam Darnold, and I love Wentz. I want to be the biggest Wentz guys out there, probably currently still. But Sam Darnold, I think you get a very similar level of talent, and you just get way less ridiculousness. The only way I can describe Carson Wentz is have you ever played Pokemon?
Yeah.
You know in Pokemon when like one of those Psyducks or whatever they cast the confusion on you and you get like the duck swirling around your head and it's like you do your move and it's like okay your guy's under confusion. You either do the move that you were intended to or you hurt yourself in confusion. That is Carson Wentz as a quarterback. It's either okay I do the play I'm supposed to and we get a good result or oh I just start running around randomly fumble, like just throw it directly to the other team. That is Carson Wentz is just under confusion this season. Like
That's a good analogy. And going like, dude, if any of my Pokemon got confused, I just cut them right there because I run a top-notch program in my Pokedex that if you like they hurt themselves, you're gone, cutting you. You're in the wild now. Go have fun. Yeah,
this.
but like
Wait, I just
he
lost
does
the
make some
picture.
dumbass mistakes, but he does somehow always climb back into games.
Yeah, here it is. For those who don't I mean, if you haven't played Pokemon, what are you doing, man? It's just such a top-notch quality game.
I mean, everybody grew up probably playing on the Game Boy.
This thing right here. This is Carson Wentz every snap. He's got these little ducks swirling around. He has no idea what defense, and he hurts himself like half the time.
Yeah, dude. There's psychic Pokemon. You gotta stay away from them, man.
Yeah, I
Scary.
never
Your
really
heart.
liked those guys. I would always have one in my platoon. Don't get me wrong, like
I
one of
would
those
do it too.
Abras or whatever, the spoon guys.
Yeah,
I always had one of them hanging around because do a number on your opponent with one of those guys. But playing against those dudes, you got to have those potions or herbs ready to make sure your
yeah.
guys
You
are.
really you got stuck up with that. I think you have to have a dark. It's either a dark or a ghost Pokemon. They're very effective. No, or I think a dark Pokemon is very effective against a ghost. I don't know what takes down Psychic. It might be dark too.
Dude,
Like a Maeda.
that's what the Eagles need. They either need one of those dark Pokemon or they need like one of those berries that you can find so that they can feed that to Carson Wentz. He loses his confusion and he can go back to the MVP level he was at before.
Spin Zone. They find out where the Memba berries are, and they just feed him a bunch of Memba berries whenever he gets confused.
All right, all right, all right. Next one. Derek Carr or Jared Goff?
I'm going Derek Carr easily. I mean, we've talked about it before. Derek Carr back in 2016 was a MVP candidate before he went down with torn ACL. He had some rough patches coming back, and then there was that whole big thing with Gruden. But like this season, you can easily see it. The Raiders are playoff contenders, and that's a big reason from Derek Carr. Derek Carr is very efficient. He's got a little more weapons downfield now. And Jared Goff, don't get me wrong, probably has a better deep ball. I think we both agree on that. And Jared Goff has had a lot of success. But Jared Goff this season, dude, there's just something missing. He's missing a beat. It looks like he's kind of halting that Rams offense what it truly could be. And I don't see that in Derek Carr. I trust Derek Carr in a big game. Derek Carr's not going to turn over the ball. If Derek Carr's not going to have anything open, he'd rather just throw it away, live another down, take a sack, and like let his defense work. And rather, I see Jared Goff trying to fit a lot of passes top tight windows or something. And, it's just kind of iffy. I like. You asked me that question 2 years ago. I'm easily going Jared Goff when the Rams made the Super Bowl. But now Jared Goff is definitely not that player since that Super Bowl. Not saying he's bad, but because I still would love to have Jared Goff, but I like Derek Carr more at this moment.
Yeah, you kind of took a lot of the words out of my mouth there, buddy. I'm going Derek Carr too, for a lot of the reasons that you just mentioned. Like you said, Jared Goff has a better deep ball, and I think that that's the main thing. Just overall arm talent that Jared Goff has going for him. But both these guys are football players. They're both tough guys. They get hit and they can get right back up, and it won't affect them. And I'm kind of going what you were saying off of how Jared Goff is kind of like missing a beat here and there. I just think that when you play a fast physical defense, he's just not able to process as efficiently as some of the top quarterbacks are. I think the Super Bowl is just a really good example where they weren't able to dominate the line of scrimmage. The Patriots really dominated. They were sending guys on their ass, pulling guards. That linebacker would meet him right in the hole and put him on his butt, and it killed a lot of that play action that the Rams love to do. They were just playing faster and more physical. And when you have a matchup like that for the Rams offense with Jared Goff as a quarterback, he really struggles, and he's proven that he struggles.
Mm-hmm.
With Derek Carr, I just think that when the Raiders offense is a little bit outmatched, you get a little bit more out of him. Obviously, Jared Goff, I think when guys are open down the field, has a better chance of hitting him. And everyone will agree that Jared Goff just has better talent than Derek Carr does. But going off of what you were saying, I just think that you get a little more consistency out of Derek Carr. And that when you're in one of those games where quarterback to make plays for you to win, I think that Derek Carr has Jared Goff beat there. I think these are both guys that you can win a Super Bowl with, but you need to have a good roster around both of them. But I'm gonna lean Carr, and I also think that Carr is just a little bit of a smarter quarterback coming out. I think that
Mm-hmm.
that was one of his biggest strong suits. Um, he was calling plays. I'm pretty sure at oh, where did he go? Um,
Fresno State.
yeah, Fresno. Just like his is it his brother?
Derek
Not Derek.
David.
The
David.
other Carr, I forget his name. Is
Oh
that his brother? I think it's his brother. It's either his brother or his cousin who got
no,
picked.
it's his older brother. No, he went like didn't he go like first overall?
Yeah, he went first overall, and it's honestly kind of a shame because he's super good. You talk about a bad offensive line killing a quarterback's career. Um, he was really good. And I think Derek is on a similar level to him, and I think it's if you watch the Gruden's quarterback camp, which is just fascinating now that Gruden is his coach. He mentions that like when he was a kid, he was dissecting defenses at a level that other guys around his age weren't able to do, and I think it shows. Like Derek Carr has some pretty decent anticipation on a lot of throws, which Jared Goff I think lacks. And
Yeah.
and just in general, just reading defenses, I think Derek Carr is much better. These guys both have flaws, but I think that Derek Carr is a little bit less flawed than Jared Goff is, in my opinion, at least.
Plus we
Let's
like the
go.
Raiders.
Yeah, and this is also a Raiders podcast, so you're probably just going to get a little Raiders bias here, man. Like Derek Carr, not he's not a guy that can take you to a Super Bowl. He's a guy that will take you to the Super Bowl. Raiders to the Super Bowl. Party at
Not even
Hooters.
just he will take you, he will win.
Yeah, he will win. Party at Hooters, baby. For those who don't know, we have in the offseason, we put a $20 bet on the Raiders to win the Super Bowl to win 1200, and if we do win, we're spending all of that on a Super Bowl party at Hooters. And everyone's invited. Um
Oh yeah.
let's go on to the next one though. Drew Lock or Daniel Jones?
Ah, dude, I the thing
That Monday night game he just played is probably heavily influencing everyone's decision in this.
yeah, I
Like
think everybody's just about out on Daniel Jones now, you know? Like
you
I would
asked this
say
question before that game, and you're probably like, "Oh yeah, Daniel Jones. I'll lean."
yeah, even though he's still turned I mean, dude, Daniel Jones has turned over the ball more than Jamarcus Russell, and that's alarming. He's just a turnover machine. Uh, I'd go Lock. It's not that I truly believe in Lock, but it's that I don't really truly believe in Daniel Jones.
It's
That
not a lock.
yeah,
All right,
but
I'll walk myself out for that one. I'm sorry.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well, I guess in like this season, Drew Lock, I would take him. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if Daniel Jones is somehow able to maybe figure it out. And the Giants are not like I don't know if the Giants if they're in a situation to take Lawrence, they would definitely take him. But if Daniel Jones is able to play throughout Giants, I could see easily Daniel Jones having a better career than Drew Lock. But like I wasn't a big Drew Lock guy in college, even though like I mean he has like the most passing yards or whatever than that. But in the SEC, but I this season I take Drew Lock.
Yeah, so this is interesting because I was definitely higher on Daniel Jones coming out than Drew Lock. Um, I wasn't necessarily one of those guys saying, "Oh, Drew Lock is going to be terrible." I just think that he was one of the more interesting prospects because I think that Drew Lock, as a quarterback, you need him to be mentally right. When he's playing confident, when he's on his game and he's really feeling good and feeling like he can make throws and is a step ahead of the defense, then you have an ultra talented quarterback. You have a quarterback that can make all of the throws and when he is confident has really good anticipation and even though sometimes he will make a bad decision, as long as he's making it on time, he can use his arm to beat defenders. And I think a lot more so than Daniel Jones can. But the thing with Daniel Jones is that he literally just has one problem. He has one glaring, two actually, two glaring issues. One that I thought he had fixed. The one that he has not fixed at all is just these stupid decisions trying to do too much by holding onto the football. Literally, if he takes that out of his game, this is probably not a question we pick Daniel Jones. It's just there are plays where the offense for the Giants is stagnant because for the most part they suck and they're not as talented as the other offenses, and the defense just wins their matchups more often than the Giants do. And he tries to do too much. And it leads to fumbles and interceptions. It is the number one issue for Daniel Jones. And I kind of feel bad for Jason Garrett because I feel like every time Daniel Jones does one of these turnovers, he's like, listen, Daniel, you're doing it again, buddy. Like, how many times do I have to fucking say it before you actually start doing it?
Yeah.
And the other
It's
issue,
beating a dead
which
horse now.
what's up?
It's like beating a dead horse at
Yeah, and
this point.
it might just honestly be a problem he can't fix. Now, we have seen guys get over this issue, but you're right. Like, how many times do you have to drill it into someone where you just realize they're not going to change? Now, the other problem that I thought Daniel Jones had fixed just based off of the tape that I saw early in the season was Daniel Jones is not a good deep thrower. That was my number one issue in my scouting report when he came out, is that I think that this guy is a West Coast quarterback is really good. He gets rid of the ball quickly. He's physical. He can throw the ball with guys hanging on to him, kind of like Eli could. But his deep ball is trash. He's just really inaccurate. And when he first came into the NFL, I remember that first preseason game, he hit like a really nice corner route. Like it ended up being like a 35 or 40-yard throw. And I was like, holy crap. Like I didn't see that on film during college. I can tell you that much. But then you saw the past couple of games, he's just missing Slayton over and over and over again on these deep balls. Now, is that all Daniel Jones's fault? Probably not. There's probably some sort of miscommunication. And I remember clearly on one of the deep balls, I wish I had pulled it up earlier so I could show you guys, but there was one where you could clearly see that Daniel Jones wanted to throw the ball more vertically down the field, and Slayton was running his route flatter. And that's just a miscommunication on both ends. They're both at fault for that. But clearly, there are times where he just misses deep balls. And it's a big problem because in the NFL, you need to be able to make defenses pay when there are guys open down the field. If you can't, you cannot play at this level. You 100% cannot play if you cannot gash defenses when they make mistakes and when you have them beat. You will not be able to play. And these two big issues, I love you, Daniel Jones, and I think you can improve. But for this season, I'm taking Drew Lock. Just because if I get a confident Drew Lock, we're a team that can make the playoffs and maybe even go farther. So it's just Daniel Jones. Like it's just these two issues you need to improve on to be good. It's literally it. Like, and I hate to say that it's not hard because it's really hard. This is the NFL. Things happen so quickly, but it's like
But then again, you're
forget
the sixth overall
everything.
pick.
Just just work. Just after practice every day. Just drop balls into the bucket 50 yards away. Just into the bucket, into the bucket, into the bucket. And when you're in the game, just have that internal clock. After 4 seconds, stop doing that crazy stuff. Just throw it away. Just take a sack. Stop doing these stupid throws, leaning away. You see a guy kind of open, but no, it's picked. Like, stop doing that. You're just killing yourself.
Yeah, he's throwing himself out of a job.
Because it's just ridiculous at this point. The fumbles too, like all that stuff, it just leads to fumbles. And you can blame the Giants receivers for not being that good. You can blame the Giants offensive line for not being that good. But at the end of the day, offensive line ain't throwing those stupid passes. Offensive line, they're not the ones that can't hold on to the football. They're not the ones that are missing the deep throws. I don't
There's
care whether Saquon Barkley is there or not. That game against the Bucks is completely on him for not winning.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you saw in that 2 point conversion. I can't. Who was the running back in that for
That was
that?
Dion Lewis, I believe it
That
was.
was
Yeah, he
Dion
had him open.
Lewis.
He
Yeah,
just
he was
throws it
open.
late.
He threw it too late. Threw it so late. Like that had to be like who you knew you were to go to.
I can pull
Like I
that
run that
play up
play
right
all
now
the
because I
time
already
on
have the
Madden,
game on.
dude. Golly, I was just that had to be frustrating because like they're in so many of these games, like their defense The defense, you can win with that defense. That's the
That
thing. But
defense is
like,
really good.
and I mean, like, granted that Eagles game a couple weeks ago, like he did have that good pass to Evan Ingram, and Evan Ingram dropped that ball. But still, like, come on, he's just throwing him out of games they can easily win and take advantage this year when the NFC East is crap. I
Okay,
mean,
I've got it here. I've got the play.
did we blame the black cat possibly?
I mean, the black cat definitely has something to do with this. I can guarantee you that. Let's click on this. Hopefully YouTube doesn't take this down because of it. I'd be kind of pissed. But here we go. Here's the 2-point conversion. Yeah, like initially they motion a couple guys over, trying to see what coverage it is. Generally speaking, when you're at the goal line, you're playing man because there's just if you play zone, you're gonna find a little bit of a hole, especially if you don't have pass rush. So you can see, like, also give credit where credit is due to Winfield for making this play because you can see they're in man coverage, and he comes screaming from
Yeah,
across the field to make this play. But you're
he
right, the
does
throw
cover
is
really
just late.
fast.
Of course, I've screwed up my computer now. Um, but yeah, you're right. The throw is just late. Come on, where's the play? What happened? What happened? Oh my god, I've messed it up now. All right, here we go.
We're gonna
So yeah,
watch
you
the whole
see
game.
they motion, these guys follow, so it's man coverage. You have Dion Lewis, and it's wide open right here. Let me see if I can just go back. I've screwed it up again, but yeah, we'll just replay it a last time. I'll try and pause it at the right time now. Just why is the ball not out of your hands at this point?
Yeah,
There's so much space there. Just get it out because you wait longer. Field is screaming. He knows the play. He's a smart player. Like this is a hugely important play. That you tie the game up with this. And it's just that's the thing with Daniel Jones. All season it's been such a wash. Every single thing that he's done good has been negated by mistakes like that. And especially in a town like New York, like those fans will get on you real quick when you miss some easy plays like that. So,
well, yeah, I think they're already on him,
oh yeah, definitely. Like
or they
after that
were already
last
on him.
game on prime time, like not that you had to come out with a win, but to lose like that after he started the game so well and the Giants were actually winning the game up front against a really talented Bucks defensive line, like you cannot put that on the offensive line. You cannot put
Yeah,
that on your playmakers for dropping passes and not making plays. Like you could against the Eagles when Evan Ingram dropped that pass. Like Evan Ingram had a great game last game. The
yeah, he
receivers were
did. He laid
playing
up
really
for him.
well. Offensive line probably had their best game of the season because they actually had a running attack without Saquon Barkley. Like that game is completely on Daniel Jones. Defense held Tom Brady to under 26 points. Like especially when the Bucks have been on fire recently. You know, he just threw for 5 touchdowns the other week. Like, you know, that game is on him 100%. Let's move on though. Big Ben or Ryan Tannehill
For this season.
this season?
Ooh,
This one's
that's a tough one.
spicy.
That's a tough one. I like both guys, but I'm a huge Tannehill guy. I know they've hit like a little bit of rough patch and all this, but I still like Tannehill, man. Give me Tannehill, make this little run. And I know Big Ben's made clutch plays before, but I believe Tannehill can do the same, man. Tannehill struggles against top 10 defenses, and that's absurd. That's noticeable, and he does need Derrick Henry to equal him out. But like he does have AJ Brown back now, and they can find themselves a little bit of groove. And I still like Tannehill's production, man. Like he's ever since he's been the starter for the Titans, you can just see something completely different with him, and I'm just gonna carry him. I'll take Tannehill. Also, like he's my fantasy quarterback, so I got to stick with my roots.
Yeah, this might be a little bit of the Steelers homer coming out, but I'm going Ben Roethlisberger. And one of the main reasons why is just when you need offense, Ben Roethlisberger is someone that you can really trust with the ball in his hands. In like any scenario, you know, whether it's we need a field goal or a touchdown with 2 minutes left, or I like a great example I think is against the Ravens just last week where first half he has a bad offensive half. The Steelers aren't able to move the ball. But when we need touchdowns off of turnovers and on big possessions, Ben Roethlisberger provided when we needed him most. We needed some points at a halftime, and when we got the ball in plus territory off turnovers, they ended as touchdowns instead of field goals. Absolutely massive touchdowns because those ended up winning us the game. And the Ravens even came like when the Steelers came back and eventually took the lead. Ravens scored a touchdown to retake the lead, but Ben Roethlisberger at the helm was able to put the ball in the end zone, keep the Steelers on the field with big third down conversions, and once you got into plus territory, capping the drive off with a touchdown instead of a field goal. And that's why I put these guys into that bucket because I think that both of these quarterbacks are pretty good at that. Is when you're in plus territory, these guys look towards the end zone. They score. The Titans are a team that are very efficient with their drives when they're near the goal line, they're putting it in the end zone. And I think that Ben Roethlisberger is a player like just over time has been one of those more efficient red zone quarterbacks in terms of scoring. So I just think that you get a little more consistency out of Ben Roethlisberger than you do Ryan Tannehill. And when both of these guys are having a bad day, I'd much rather have Ben Roethlisberger because I think he's the kind of guy that is able to turn it around pretty quickly and just like that when you're in a game and you need him most, it doesn't matter how bad of a day he was having before. That just goes right out the window and he's there ready to go. Next one, Josh Allen or Deshaun Watson this season.
Uh, this season, give me Deshaun Watson all day still. I understand like Josh Allen got off to that really hot start, but like this season, like you can't you can't neglect Deshaun Watson's talent. Like he's on a very bad team, and I know Deshaun Watson has his negatives, just like any other quarterback. But so does Josh Allen, dude. I don't trust Josh Allen whatsoever. I think maybe he's gotten a little better throwing the ball, but like I mean, dude, like you never know when Josh Allen's going to do one of those funky plays where he's running for 30 yards and try to pitch it back and do something stupid and fumble it and cost the game. Like I know at least Deshaun Watson, you get like a very really well talented player that can carry a team for a lot of games. Like I don't know if Josh Allen is there yet to where he could carry a team if the Bills defense is not playing well. And I know he got off to a really hot start, but like the Bills have fallen off here last couple of weeks and we've seen it. And they got a tough test this week. So I don't know. I'm taking Deshaun.
Yeah, these are two quarterbacks that I loved coming out. Josh Allen was a guy I just thought that there's some players that are just so good at throwing the football that you have to overlook some things like completion percentage and all that jazz. And Josh Allen was one of them. And Deshaun Watson was kind of like the forefront of that new style of quarterback, really athletic but smart with the football. I think I'm gonna go Josh Allen, and it's really close. And I can understand why people would go Deshaun Watson. It's just for me, it's just so tough. And these are both guys that I think hold on to the football for far too long. It's just Josh Allen, I think, is just you get a little more when he's running with the football in his hands down the field. And I think you also get a little bit more as a pure passer. So just for those two reasons, I have to go Josh Allen over Deshaun Watson. I think Deshaun Watson, like you said, is a smarter quarterback than Josh Allen. Josh Allen, you got to make sure he's not doing that wacky stuff. Sometimes the wacky stuff pans out, but you just don't want it because you can lose a football game because of it. But
Yeah.
I think that we've seen now while Josh Allen has cooled off a little bit, when you get a hot Josh Allen, Jesus, like he can just go out there and you can have the worst defense in the league and you win the football game by 2 scores because he's throwing for like 500 yards and 7 touchdowns. Something crazy like that. So just because of the upside, I think you're gonna have to go Josh Allen.
I mean, dude, Deshaun Watson, their stats are very similar, really. I mean, Deshaun Watson has got like a 2% better completion percentage. like a little tick higher. He's almost at 70, but Josh Allen's thrown for like 80 more yards. He's thrown for a touchdown more, and they both thrown for the same amount of interceptions. They've had really very similar seasons, so that kind of tells me, the Bills are just a better team. You know,
Well, yeah, Josh Allen is in a system that suits him much more than Deshaun Watson is in a system that suits him, if that makes sense. Like that offense in Buffalo, especially getting Stephon Diggs, arguably the best, if definitely one of the best top 5 in the league deep threat wide receivers. Like, that's perfect. That's exactly what Josh Allen needed because you have John Brown, who has been injured a little bit as like a speedster, but is good on a dig route and in those intermediate sections. You have Cole Beasley as a reliable slot target, and Stephon Diggs is that true number one receiver that can really be a threat over the top, but just be a threat in general. And then you have Gabriel Davis as a guy that's coming through, coming up the ranks as a rookie. Really impressive rookie showing from him. Um, so yeah, if you put Deshaun Watson in a system that fits him like the Bills have done for Josh Allen, Deshaun Watson probably has better stats than Josh Allen. I'm not going to deny that. And that's why you can make a clear argument for Deshaun Watson here. It's really close. Um,
no, it is close, and like I think a lot of people would immediately say, they would take Deshaun Watson. Now I'm not saying like that's not me. Like I know Deshaun Watson and his flaws, but like just because of name and recognition,
you
I
know what? You're
really feel
right.
like
It's Deshaun Watson. For a single season, it has to be Deshaun Watson. I think Deshaun Watson can take more teams to win a championship than Josh Allen can. You just get more consistency out of him.
let's talk about that quarterback class Josh Allen came in with because we know it's all stat. Like Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen definitely went to the two best situations that they could.
Yeah.
Now, if those two teams are been put on the Browns Jets, we could be talking about a different career. Lamar
Okay,
Jackson could
yeah, if any
easily,
quarterback goes to the Jets, you're right.
yeah, but like
You're in a bad system. You could put
yeah,
Patrick Mahomes on the Jets and their offense still probably wouldn't be top 10 in the league.
yeah, but like they're still winning games though with Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I think you might be struggling to go 500 on the Jets right now. Dude, their
Oh,
receivers coming
Jets
into the
right now,
season,
like
I think I might have had an outside shot to make the roster at receiver. That's how ridiculous it is. Like it was literally like just signing guys off the street. Dude, like Perryman was hurt to start the season, Denzel Mims was hurt, then Jamison Crowder went down early. Like they were literally just practice squad buying guys. Dude, like their number one receiver for a game was Jeff Smith. Like you might as well had Patrick Starr starting out there.
oh, dude, the Jets are fucking horrible. They're so bad. They are so bad.
Yeah, it's just I'm sorry, but like, okay, yeah, you might win some more games with Patrick Mahomes as quarterback, but any one of the like you put Josh Allen in New probably looking like a bust. Like situation
I mean, people
matters.
are
It
saying that
matters
the
a
same thing
lot
about
for a
Darnold.
quarterback.
It does, and like that's just like that's one of the things where he land because like the Bills that year, even though they were drafted at 10, they made the playoff the previous year. Just had a down year, got had a good draft, had some people develop well, and then boom, right there, they're back in the playoffs. Uh, I think a year later.
Well, yeah, I also think that I don't know if this comes off as a hot take or not, or just whether people will agree with this, but I legitimately believe that Josh Allen is in a better situation for his playstyle than Lamar Jackson is for his situation in his playstyle. I think they're both in
Really?
very beneficial situations, but I think that Josh Allen is legitimately in the ideal scenario that you wanted to put him in.
I mean, Lamar Jackson just did win an MVP.
Yeah, but Lamar Jackson is also one of the most dynamic quarterbacks we've ever seen take the field.
Yeah, but we're just talking about systems. Like, I mean, I understand Josh Allen has had really good sets this year, but let's just look at last year. Like Lamar Jackson won an MVP, and Josh Allen was struggling just to get over 60% completion percentage. And now, like you look at this year, they do have a deep threat now. Stephon Diggs, which is a really good buy. I think he's number 3. I looked at a stat today at like the most 20-yard receptions, like 20-plus-yard receptions in the league. I think he's at three. I think it went Julio D Hop, Diggs, and Ridley, and then someone else. But like system wise, dude, I'd really have to sit down and watch the Bills. Like I watch more Ravens games than I do Bills games, which is
The thing
weird.
I'll say about the Ravens, and in this little mini argument we're having, is that let's not confuse system for talent here, because the Ravens' offensive line and tight end play last year, especially, was phenomenal. Their offensive line was ridiculous, which led to their run game being absolutely absurd up until about Mark Ingram got a little banged up towards the playoffs. But even then, like they had a field day against the Steelers, like one of the last games of the season. Um, and like their tight ends were ridiculous. I mean, they had Hayden Hurst, who is a first round talent and really good blocker, as their second tight end, with Mark Andrews, absolute stud receiver, and Nick Boyle, another really good blocking tight end. Like,
Yeah.
with Mark Ingram, Heisman Trophy winning running back, Gus Edwards, another talented, powerful, bruising running back. And then you still have Marquise Hollywood Brown on the outside, a receiver that I really liked coming out. Like, they were, and the Ravens didn't even have to throw the ball to beat teams. They, like, Lamar Jackson and Mark Ingram were just beating teams single handedly. So it is a good system for Lamar Jackson. Don't get me wrong. It's one of the more beneficial systems he could have gone to. But I'm not going to act like if Lamar Jackson was on the Chiefs, he's not having another MVP season. I'm not going to act like if Lamar Jackson was on the Falcons, that he's not having another MVP type season. I think with Josh Allen, you do not see this level of Josh Allen on many more teams than the Bills
Yeah, that's
right now.
probably true.
That's my argument for it.
But I mean, if you put him on the Ravens, I think he would have success there as well,
Okay, yeah, but yeah, don't get me wrong. I don't
though.
know. But then again,
You-
I think the Ravens are a really quarterback friendly organization.
yeah, I mean, Joe Flacco did win the Super Bowl.
Joe Flacco is elite, all right? I don't want to hear it. Let's move on to the next
Not
one.
elite.
Um,
Sucks.
this is the last one. Cam Newton, no, second to last, sorry. Cam Newton or Tua Tagovailoa?
I mean, dude, based on Tua's last game, throwing for 90 yards and a TD, how could you not take Tua? No, in all serious note, I'm taking Tua. I mean, a little fun stat for you. In Tua's first 20 attempts passing, he has more touchdown passes than Cam Newton does since the month of September. So there you go.
Wow,
I
you
mean,
may have
dude,
just
like,
swayed me there.
yeah, the Patriots haven't thrown a touchdown since September. Cam Newton has two total passing touchdowns all year. Like, you want to like, dude, the who they played Monday, the Jets. Those two teams, I think I saw a stat they haven't thrown a passing touchdown in like the last 4 or 5 games or something like that. Like something's got to give.
Jesus. Yeah. Um,
But
I think I was leaning Cam Newton a little bit. It was close, but yeah, I'm going Tua. I'm going Tua just because of the arm talent.
yeah, give me Tua arm talent. I still think rough call bitch and Fitzpatrick, but I'm hyped about the Dolphins, dude. I'm tuning in the Dolphins every time they play, and I know I hyped up Cam Newton after like a couple weeks. I think after that Sunday night football game against the Seahawks, I was like, dude, Cam Newton's a nice still. Well, you're kind of seeing it now about Cam Newton that maybe there's a reason why he only got like the veteran minimum is because like he might be washed. He might be like that might be a result of scheme or like him not having receivers run into the same thing Brady had a problem we talked about last year. But there's a certain drop off, and you haven't thrown a touchdown. Like, granted, he had COVID, but like a lot of people are blaming COVID affected him, and this is why. Like if you truly think that, I'm about to like turn up here for a second. If you truly think that, it's bullshit. Freddie Freeman, Atlanta Braves first baseman, had COVID, had 105-degree fever, and was like about to go to the hospital, and then he won the MVP for the NL. So like COVID does not affect you that much. So I don't want to hear about Cam.
I'm
I'm
trying
just
to find real quick this one Tua throw that I remember he
from
had.
last week.
No, in college that was nasty. And it's
It's
like,
probably against South
oh, I
Carolina.
think I found it. I think I found it.
Was it against South Carolina?
No, it's against LSU. Yeah, here
Oh,
she is. This is an absolutely nasty throw from Tua. So if you're watching on the YouTube that hopefully doesn't get taken down because I'm showing these clips, um, let me get this live. Wait, hold on one sec. Running into some quick technical difficulties. Yeah, here we go. This throw, it from the naked eye, just like watching this game, it doesn't look as impressive as it actually is. So this is like a common NFL throw that you would like to run against man coverage. So this is just man coverage across the board. Like I said earlier, a lot of teams just you're basically forced to do in the red zone a lot of the time. So Jerry Judy's right here as a slot receiver, and he's going to be running a little whip route. And the thing that's really great about this throw that I love is this little movement here from Tua. Oh geez, I messed it up. Yeah, here's a Jerry Judy drop the previous play that could have easily been a touchdown.
reason why
Um,
he was on the first receiver off the board.
just like those little pumps to get guys open. Just this
Yeah.
little step up and just look at his first off, all the cleats in the ground, very important. Second off, like this shoulders are pointed right to this pylon. Just like really good throwing mechanics, footwork. And the other thing too is that when you run this, if this corner's playing shallow, you're supposed to throw it way deep up here to this to the corner. But these guys are so good at Alabama that if you beat them flat, they adjust this to throw it to this front pylon. And this is a really difficult throw that people don't realize. Like, first off, the angle you have to throw this at so that this D back can't undercut it is really slim. Second off, dude, he's at this wide ass hash in college football. This is a long throw to this pylon that you don't really think would be a long throw because it's only 5 yards down the field. This is probably a 30, 40-yard throw. Like just an absolute laser with not a lot of margin for error. Like this is a super super hard throw that you wouldn't necessarily realize at first glance. Like most quarterbacks into his position as an offensive coach, you'd have to say, okay, just throw it to this pylon and hopefully it's a good throw over the shoulder. They're so good that, and especially two is so good that like you can tell your receiver, hey, adjust this on the fly depending on your release, and he'll be able to hit you on a ultra difficult throw. This is a throw that Cam Newton, I think, has proven in the league that he's not able to make consistently. And you can make an argument that Tua, based off of his film in college, is able to make that throw consistently. So, like, I just think for that level of arm talent, I have to lean Tua. And just like the difference in arm talent possibly between the two, Cam Newton. Cam Newton is a guy that has struggled with accuracy and throwing the ball down the field. Where with Tua, that could easily be his strong suit is accuracy, tight window throws. So I think you have to lean Tua, but I do think it's close, and that's why I put it on here because it's almost like do you go with Tua, the risky guy, like more
Yeah.
unproven, unknown, both guys with high draft capital, or do you go with Cam, a guy that's had an MVP season, you know, has a lot of guys have passed on him, but as a runner and as a physical football player, you have that floor with Cam Newton. And I think especially too with Cam Newton, when you get in the red zone, his legs become such a threat to any defense that you have to have someone accounting for Cam Newton or else he will score. And I think the Patriots proved that early in the season with their red zone packages. Like we can just line up, run power football on the goal line and have a great matchup for Cam Newton.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going Tua, dude. I'm so into the Tua hype, and I'm kind of just done with Cam Newton. Even though like I'm low key betting on Cam Newton this weekend, but that's solely because he's playing the Jets.
All right, last one. Gardner Minshew or Jimmy Garoppolo?
Yeah, I was thinking Minshew. I'm gonna take that back. I'm gonna go Jimmy G.
Yeah, me too.
Um,
I think this isn't really a that tough of a pick, especially of all the ones that have been on the board.
yeah, I could try to be argumentative and go Minshew here. It's just that you know Jimmy G is just you see it some games. You're like, all right, Jimmy G, here we go. Dang, 22 for 28, 275 yards, 3 touchdowns, great efficient day for Jimmy G. And then you can kind of see. I mean, the thing about Jimmy G though this season, like I don't know if he's been so hurt, and you really haven't just seen him get in the groove. And the 49ers whole team has just been hurt. But just like, if I had to choose a season, yeah, give me the guy that just went to a Super Bowl. That was one play from winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think with Jimmy G, he's not the perfect quarterback. I think that's definitely been proven. He's not a
Yeah,
Patrick
he's
Mahomes.
not.
He's not that ultra talented guy. But Jimmy G is probably one of the toughest quarterbacks in the NFL. You talk about a guy that will play through injuries, that will play through tough hits. Jimmy G is that. And he's almost so tough that it almost kind of backfires a little bit because I think you saw against the Dolphins, they rushed him back a little bit, and you could see he wasn't able to throw with all of his cleats in the ground, and that led to some bad accuracy and them just getting absolutely pummeled. But through the ups and the downs, Jimmy G, I think plays very well against tough defenses, and B, will give you, even though you get variance in some of his games, Jimmy G's a guy that can just bounce back from anything, it seems like. You know, he can
Mhm.
have a really rough game or a rough possession and bounce back and play well. I think for what the 49ers need, Jimmy G is good. Um, I think the more the question with Jimmy G isn't that if he's good, is he worth getting paid as a top 5, 10 quarterback for what you know you're going to get? I think that's more of the argument for Jimmy G that's more valid instead of saying, is Jimmy G a starting quarterback in the NFL? Jimmy G is a starting quarterback in the NFL when healthy. Um,
Yeah.
the question is, how much money does he deserve to be a starter? Gardner Minshew, I like Minshew. I like the Minshew mania, but as a reliable enough quarterback, I'm not sure he is. He holds onto the ball a little bit too long for me. He is a player, and he definitely deserves to be on a roster. I'm not saying he's a bum, but I think the more of the question for Minshew is he a starting quarterback? Whereas for Jimmy Garoppolo, the question isn't if he's a starter, it's how much, how much cash. So that's going to be, you have anything else to say on that?
Well, Jimmy G. I mean, yeah, I feel like Jimmy G falls in that threshold too, where like obviously with like Jared Goff and Derek Carr, we've seen it too with Jimmy G. Like he falls into that little threshold where like you can win a Super Bowl with them. You just have to have the right team around him. The 49ers did last year. And just Shanahan did a classic Shanny, just didn't run the ball.
Classic Shanny.
Yeah, just like, you know what? I'm up a couple scores in the Super Bowl. Screw it, dude. We're going to just keep on chucking the thing. But,
We're chucking the pill.
I mean, for Gardner Minshew to win the Super Bowl, I'm just looking at this in the eyes. Like, he would have to have, like, Belichick as the coach, um, Aaron Donald at D tackle, like just like all
Yeah,
star players
Lawrence
gonna have.
Taylor at the end,
Yeah,
Calvin Johnson and Jerry Rice on the outside. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
like
thinking of what you're saying.
Deion Sanders at corner or something, and then
I'm not sure
Barry Sanders
I
running
think
the
we are
ball.
exaggerating it a little. And I understand your argument. You're basically saying that you need more than just a good team to win with Gardner Minshew. You need like the best roster in the
Yeah,
NFL,
you
and
need.
even then, it might be a little bit of a struggle.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know.
you'd have to get
I
better.
don't think the
I
jury's out
no,
on
I'm not saying
Minshew.
like Minshew is like a Trubisky. Like I think I'd take Minshew over Trubisky, but like I
All
don't
right,
know.
I think you may have an argument for taking Nathan Peterman over Trubisky at this point. Not
You're
actually.
taking
That's a
you're taking
joke.
Peter
That's a
Pants.
joke. No, that's a joke. That's a complete joke. No, I'm not taking Peter Pence. Are you kidding me? If I'm an offensive coach, I actually like my team having the football. Um,
Hey man, he's just trying to help out everyone out. It's a
yeah,
good
he's just trying to get some defenders paid. You can't give him too much crap. But yeah, that's gonna be it for that segment. Um, let's move on into picks for this week, baby. This week's picks, what everyone hopefully has been waiting for, because free picks. Who doesn't love free picks? And we are gonna
picks.
start it off. I'm gonna start off with my dog of the week because I've got a lot to say for this dog of the week. So just bear with me here, all right? And my dog of the week is going to be the Saints. I still think the spread is +5. Um, is it? Let me check that real quick. Um, It was +5 yesterday. It's +4 now. Dang, odds are getting a lot because I took them +5.5 right when I saw the line. Um, for a few reasons. Let's get started. First off, the Saints as a dog are just really good against the spread. So since 2016, as an underdog, the Saints are 16-6-1, covering the spread 72.7% of the time. As an away team, they are 24-10-1, covering the spread 70.6% of the time. And as an away underdog, they've covered the spread 12-5-1, 70.6% of the time. So basically, Saints are very good as a dog against the spread and on the road. I think the other thing to look at is how well Drew Brees has been playing. Even without Emmanuel Sanders and slant boy Michael Thomas, Drew Brees' completion percentage and passer rating have been very high. Against Carolina, he had an 80.56 completion percentage, 2 touchdowns for 118 passer rating. Against Chicago, a better defense on the road in an overtime win, 75.61% completion percentage, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 110 passer rating. Once again, without Slant Boy and Emmanuel Sanders. So coming into this week, currently, the Bucks defense is 6th in opponent quarterback passer rating this season. So they are a good defense against other teams' quarterbacks, but I think that Drew Brees is in a little bit too much of a groove where his impact on the game is going to outweigh the Buccaneers' defensive players' impact on the game. But for some more analysis, let's take it over to the film. Bang time, go live. Here we go, baby. So there are a few things I want to highlight, and this is the first one. So in the Bucks and Saints first matchup, the Saints actually kind of surprised me a little bit. They ran a lot than I initially thought they were. And here's an example of it here. So they're just in cover one man. You got the safety at the top of the screen, just reading the eyes of Brady, and then man coverage across the board. And this is a play that Bruce Arians and the Bucks love to run. Just hitch seam. You got hitch, double hitches on the outside with slot seams. And this is going to be where the addition of Antonio because you already have a great matchup, if you like it, Marshawn Lattimore one-on-one against Mike Evans. Well, guess what? You have Godwin over here. You have Mike Evans. Guess who this guy turns into? Antonio Brown. So
Yeah.
now in this is the one thing I'm scared of in this matchup is now you already have great receivers, but now it's okay, there's no good matchup if you're a defense. I'm pretty sure this is Demario Davis right here in man coverage. That is not good if you have Antonio Brown in the field. You do not want Demario Davis covering Antonio Brown in man coverage. But the Bucks actually do get a win on this play because Mike Evans is able to draw a pass interference. I kind of disagree with the call a little bit, but this is something as the Saints, if you're going to line up and play man coverage this week, this is something that you're going to have to be able to stop. These long gashing plays that Bruce Arians likes to call up. And with the addition of Antonio Brown, I'm not sure you're going to be able to as much. Which is, it's surprising. You're saying, "Oh, well, why are you picking the Saints if you're just going to trash them with your first highlight?" Um, I just think at the end of the day, you're not going to see as much man coverage, but you're still going to see some man coverage. And I still think that the Saints are going to be able to win. I don't think the addition of Antonio Brown is going to be enough to result in like a 14-point swing for the Buccaneers. Especially because it's going to be his first game back in 2 years, I believe it is, something like that.
Not
He's
going to
not
be
going
on
to
the
have a
field the
full
whole game.
grasp of the playbook. Um, so I also think that the Saints are going to play a little bit more zone here. It's just you really can't zone Brady, which is really tough. But let's go to the other side of the ball real quick. I want to show you guys a couple plays because I actually think the more important matchup is the Saints offense against the Buccaneers defense, not the Saints defense against the Buccaneers offense. And that is because of two players. Not only is the Buccaneers defensive line filled with studs. Jason Pierre-Paul's got like 6.5 sacks on the year. Is it Shaquille Barrett? Yeah, they got Barrett, right? Yeah, I
Yeah,
always forget him. I mix him up with a couple other pass rushers for some reason. But you got him. He's got like another 5 sacks in the season. Ndamukong Suh,
yeah, he's a beast.
just absolute beast of a defensive tackle. Now you don't have
Vita
this guy
Vea.
here, Vita Vea, anymore. He's going to be replaced with Snacks Harrison, but still another good run defender. But this is what you get out of Sean Payton that other teams don't have the luxury of. He is an absolute master at scheming plays, especially in the power run game and short passing game. And here's an example of why. This man right here is Devin White. Devin White, you can make an argument that he is the best linebacker in the NFL in his second season. He's that good. He's that fast. He has that good of instincts. But this is what Sean Payton is able to do to a guy like him. So, up until this point, the Saints have just been going with a lot of power runs, just power, power, power with Latavius Murray, a couple little pitches here and there with Alvin Kamara, but it's just been power, power, power. This is a 1st and 6 right here off a penalty. And you see here, Drew Brees just opens up the left. There's this big old gap right here that Levante David is going to want to fill. And if you look, if we put the slow on, if you see, Devin White just takes that little half a step towards this hole. But you can see here, Drew Brees just opens up to the left. There's that big gap, but they're actually going with a split zone run here to the right. And just that little half a step. And this is all Sean Payton here. Sean Payton and this offensive staff sees this kind of stuff on film and implements this into their run game for a reason. This little hole is created right here for a reason. After that little half a, I was pointing on the wrong screen. For a reason, and it leaves Alvin Kamara one-on-one with 23 defensive back for a touchdown. That's just brilliant play design by Sean Payton. And I think this was the more popular example of this. This is coming off a 2-minute warning right before halftime. You want to see brilliant play design. Just keep your eye on Devin White right here. I'm not sure I even need to explain anything for this play because this is just so beautiful. Like this, the first off, this play was stolen by Sean McVay a couple of weeks later. I believe the Rams used it against the Eagles in the red zone to score. But just look how many times Devin White's head turns. Okay, we're going to react to this initial fake play action over here to the left. Oh, I'm going to turn around to get to my responsibility. I see Alvin Kamara and a lot of action coming over here to the right. Let me turn my head to get to my pass responsibility. Oh, crap. Look, all these offensive linemen are leaking out to the left. Actually, it's a screen pass. There's nothing but daylight over here. The Bucks are lucky the Saints didn't score on this play. And while the line has been reacting to what I've been saying towards the Saints, this is just what you get out of Sean Payton that doesn't show up on the stat sheet. And it doesn't matter who you have on the offense, whether it's Emmanuel Sanders or Michael Thomas. This is why Sean Payton has been viewed as one of the most influential coaches in the league. He's willing to do all these little wacky plays and just, just in general innovation that you don't get out of other coaches. Maybe Andy Reid, I guess McVay, but McVay is more of a guy that steals plays. And this is why I really like this line at both the spread and just dog of the week money line. I'm taking the Saints to win this game, and for the Bucks, I need to see it to believe it, man. Until you can beat the Saints, you're not going to be the king of this division. They weren't able to week one. I don't think they're going to be able to this week.
Yeah, I'm on the same with you too. I'm also on Saints +4 money line, and I think that's just a very good bet. I'm same with the Bucks. Like I get the 6-2 start, but I don't think you're the king of this division. I still think the Saints run this division, sadly. But you
Sadly,
know,
as the Falcons fan.
yeah, sadly. But going on to me, I got a different little dog of the week. I think mine might be a little surprised because I'm a fan of who they're playing, but I'm jumping on to a train, man. I'm taking Dolphins +4.5 and money line dog of the week. Last dog of the week, I took who did I take? Who did I take? Oh, I took the
You took the
49ers, got blown
Niners.
out. Yeah, terrible. 0-1 start. We're gonna fix it this week. Last week, I took the Dolphins +3.5 against the Rams. Everybody called me crazy. Everybody's just like, Ryan, what are you doing? Why are you taking the Dolphins? Tua's first start, they're not gonna do anything. Didn't matter. Tua could have thrown 2 passes that game and they win that game. Defense has been showing up for Miami lately, and the special team played extremely well against the Rams. And if you look at the Dolphins this season against the NFC West, they've beaten the Rams, they crushed the 49ers, and they should have beaten the Seahawks
They
if they
could have
could
beaten the
just,
Seahawks, definitely,
yeah,
because they had so
if
many
they
field goals instead of touchdowns.
yeah, you just get the ball in the end zone a couple times, you win that game. And then people will be like, well, Ryan, like the Dolphins haven't seen a quarterback like Kyler Murray's a different beast. Well, we've compared Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray as compared Kyler Murray to Russell Wilson. They did a good job against Russell Wilson, good enough to be in that game to win that game. And Kyler Murray's not Russell Wilson yet. But let's look at some stats. The Dolphins had the best against the spread since week 5 of last season. They're 14-5. Now something's got to give because the Cardinals are second on that list at 12-5 and 2. And we look at these teams like the Dolphins, who are 7-3 against the spread in their last 10 road games. And I just like how the Dolphins are teetering here as the stats are looking in their favor. They're a hot team coming in here, and now I see this being a grueling game, and people were going to say, well, the Cardinals are coming off a bye, they're well rested, came off a big win, the Seahawks. I think not only they're not going to get carried by their defense this week, I think Tua is going to shine. I think this is when we see Tua really pop out, make some plays, and show them why that he was the number 5 overall pick
Hmm.
and why he is the future of this franchise and why the Dolphins are going to be contenders. Now, you got to remember, the Dolphins can easily win this division. It is up for grabs. Belichick and Brady aren't together anymore. The Bills are running into a little rough patch. The hottest team in this division right now is the Dolphins. They are playing some lights out. And they are 4-2 against the spread this season as the underdog. Also, and they've given up 17 points or less in their last 3 wins. So they're going to win. Their defense is going to show up, and it is tough to neutralize Kyler Murray. But Kyler Murray has shown us a little bit this year that he's been a little turnover happy here and there. I don't really trust their running game too much, and the Dolphins' defense is better than Seahawks' defense, plain and simple. So I like the way this team is going, and I think this could be a sneaky pick. Now, I don't think it's as much as a lock as like the Saints money line is for the Bucks, but I think I'm gonna ride the Dolphins, man. I rode them last week. I hate that I have to bet against the Cardinals, but I'm just gonna stick with all the stats saying like this is the best team to bet against the spread, and I'm just gonna sprinkled their money line as I think the Dolphins are going to come out on top 28-24 to us 2-0 as a starter, and the Dolphins are looking to win this division.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn on this game because I initially had the Cardinals coming in, but I think you're right. I think this is actually a matchup for the Dolphins. I think I'm still gonna ride with the Cardinals -4. I really don't like the pick. I actually think it's a bait. You can see. I think the sharps are on the Dolphins because you're right. The Dolphins' defense has been pretty shut down recently, which people have kind of been sleeping on. Those D backs now that they're healthy, Xavier Howard.
Seeing a
You
different
have
change.
what is it? Jones on the other
Byron
side. Then
Jones.
you have Noah Igbenogany as a slot corner, first round pick. Um, they've been shutting people down. They're a team that loves to play a lot of man coverage. They're just going to line up and say we're more physical than you. And you're completely right. The Cardinals' pass offense has been a little bit shaky. They've had a lot of plays that Kyler Murray just makes, especially running in the red zone, but they've also kind of been shut down in a couple of their games, and their defense has bailed them out a little bit in some scenarios. Um, I think one of the more telling games was against the Lions at home when the Lions came in and kind of just played more physical than the Cardinals were. So I think the one thing I will say about the Cardinals, and we've kind of been saying it every week, is that we have yet to see the Cardinals play a complete football game on both sides of the ball. And coming off the bye week, you don't have Mr. Average, Kenyon Drake. You finally are getting Chase Edmonds the ball. I think that this week we can finally see the Cardinals up against a hot, good opponent play a full football game on all cylinders and win this one by 7 points. So I'm going to go with the Cardinals -4, but easily could be a bait. And I was honestly thinking about switching it to the Dolphins before the episode, but I'm going to stick with my guns here.
Flexibility.
I'm going to stick with my guns. My next pick, I know you're on this one. I'm actually surprised the line is the other way. I'm taking the Ravens -2. Um, I've been a guy that's been on the Colts a lot.
Mhm.
I've taken them almost every week just because I really like the football team. I think their defense is still being underrated. Philip Rivers has been a lot more hot recently, but the Ravens defense I think is a little bit too fast and too talented for the Colts. Um, Colts offense, while they put up 40 somehow, they put up like 41 or 42 points. I forget because Blankenship was missing field goals out there. I think they're going to be in for a tough time this week. No more T.Y. Hilton. You do get to see Pittman in action, but I don't like this matchup, and I'm surprised that the money does like the Colts. I know they're at home, but I'm taking the Ravens here. They're a good team off a loss. They're a good team on the road, especially against the spread. And I think that Lamar Jackson and that crew are going to show that game against the Steelers that was a winnable game for the Ravens was just a fluke, and they're going to come out here and win by at least a touchdown.
Yeah, this is my lock of the week. I love this game. I think we got this game at the perfect time. Ravens coming off that loss against the Steelers, and the Colts blowing out the Lions. So the lines are going to change a little bit, and of course, but I mean, I we talk about Lamar Jackson and that he's just not having the same year as MVP year, and this is a tough defense, just like he faced last week. But I think this is when Lamar Jackson can kind of turn it around this week. Just got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. He's got something to prove. Really has nothing to prove. He already has MVP. But like the media's set talking, saying, "Oh, Lamar Jackson's been figured out and all this." I think he can turn the table here, make a couple plays. And this thing about the defense for the Ravens, good. I like the run defense, and even like the Colts are like their strong suit, of course, is their O line, and they like to run the ball. But like the thing is, like they traded up for Jonathan Taylor. And Jonathan Taylor, it did not play that much last week, and Jonathan Taylor's production to me has been like a lot less significant than I thought it would be. Now they said he was dealing with an ankle injury. Is that true? I don't know. I mean, that's what the Colts said. It could easily be the case why he didn't get a lot of snaps. But like I got Jonathan Taylor in my fantasy league. I'm benching him this week. I'm not doing that against the Ravens. And I just like anytime I get see a line with like if the Chiefs and the Ravens are have a line like this, I have to hammer them. You know, good teams win, great teams cover, and this is a week where a great team is going to cover, and I see them winning this by a touchdown or more.
Yeah, well, speaking of that little slogan, good teams win, great teams cover. I think that I've got a team that can win and cover here. Um,
Oh,
I'm gonna be taking the Broncos plus 3.5 against the
for you,
Falcons.
man.
Um, screw you.
I always pick
Um,
your team. Turn the
I
favor.
if I picked your team, I'd be in the dumpster this season.
No, we've we covered the spread in 3 games this year.
Okay, but let's just you can agree with this too, especially as a Falcons fan. You see the Falcons with the little minus sign next to them? You
Yeah,
gotta just, hold
you,
your horses real quick and say, okay, are the Falcons actually gonna win? Like,
you know you're in trouble whenever the Falcons have that little like whenever they're favored, you're just like, oh, immediately fade.
well, yeah, and just look at the stats behind it. Falcons as a home favorite. This is
2018.
since 2018. So the season after the classic 28-3 meme.
No, no,
Um,
no. That was the season after the Philly.
oh yeah, season after Philly. I can include it since 2017 if you want me to.
I mean, go ahead.
Yeah,
I
let's
don't
do
think
it
we
since
had a winning
2017.
record at home that year, anyways. I think all our wins came on the road.
So as the home team in general, 12 and 16 covered 42.9% of the time. As a home favorite, 10 and 14 covering 41.7% of the time. Um, where's home favorite? Oh yeah, I just said home favorite. So yeah, and even better since 2018, because this is what I originally had pulled up. As the home favorite, they're 5 and 11, covering 31.2% of the time. As the favorite in general, they are 6 and 14, covering 30%. Since 2018, they've covered 30% of the games that they are the favorite. That is just bad. That's just so bad. Like
Yeah.
I like honestly, like I'm not even a huge believer in the Broncos, but that being said, the Broncos are 5-2 against the spread this season. Very surprisingly, you would not think the Broncos are that good. I would give Vic Fangio a whole lot of credit for that defense because even without Von Miller, he has been really putting out some good defensive performances. They've given up like only a handful of I mean before the Chargers game, they only gave up a handful of touchdowns, but they were able to come back against a good Chargers team. Um, plus 3.5. I like this line. I'm pretty sure I got him in the very, very beginning of the week at +4. But if you're getting more than a field goal against this Falcons team, especially as a team that had a big comeback win, I think you just have to take him, regardless of who it is, other than maybe the Jets or the Jaguars.
Like, I'm not betting on that game because I don't like betting. Like, I would bet on the Falcons this game, but I'm not going to bet against my own team. But yeah, I mean, I said like, dude, like the Falcons, especially in the new stadium, they play horrible. Like they're terrible. I don't know what it is. They just don't play well in that stadium. Then they played. I don't know. I'm trying to think of all the wins we had there. I think we've literally won in that stadium 5 times. Yeah, but that's
Jeez.
yeah. I like we won opening night. I was there.
Nice. That was against the
Rams.
Packers, right?
Yeah, great game.
Big win. Big win.
Yeah, started off 3-0, ended up going 10-6, and lose the NFC division round because Sarkeesian wants to put a deaf fullback out wide and then just do a little rollout. God damn it. But anyways, enough of that. What's the what's our next game we're picking? We have we're on
It's your
Seahawks.
pick, boss.
Oh, okay, yeah. No. See, also another game for me is Seahawks -2.5. I got them at against the Bills. I think the Bills here are kind of uh, they're not playing as well they were in the start of the season. Like Josh Allen's fallen off the last couple of weeks, and the Seahawks proved me wrong last week in that 49ers game as they look elite. Jamal Adams back. Dunlap's going to play. Their new addition. Defense is getting better. I mean, what can I say about their offense? Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. That's all you need to know. Maybe a little Chris Carson on the side if he makes it past a quarter. Doesn't get hurt. But Seahawks minus 2.5. Whenever I see a lot, is like I said, you see like a team of the Seahawks, a Super Bowl, easily a Super Bowl contender, with minus 2.5. I'm taking them. I'm gonna ride them. So there you go.
Yeah, yeah, can't complain with that. Seahawks are another really good team against the spread. They're either, I believe, they're also 5-2. I'll pull that up right now. But my next pick, I'm gonna take. I think I'm taking the bait here, but I'm gonna take the Bears plus 6.5. Um, I originally was liking them at plus 5.5. Now I see plus 6.5. The whole thing, and this is mainly just picking the Bears because they have a good defense, like a good physical defense that I think can play well against Ryan Tannehill. Offensively, I'm not sure how they're going to score though. Um, I guess that's just kind of what you take when you take the Bears. You just kind of pray that Nick Foles will just do something or something happens. The ball rolls.
I
um,
yeah, dude, I'm in the same boat with you because I took Bears plus 6.5, and I just like I bet on the we both bet on the Bears that Monday night football game against the Rams, and they got torched. And it just seemed like a favorable line. But like this Titans team is in a rough spell, and you saw it last week with the Bengals. Like if you're able to neutralize Derrick Henry, which this defense can easily do, and they just put pressure on Ryan Tannehill's face, and they're like, all right, Tannehill, we shut down your number one offensive option. You got to beat us. Now, Tannehill can easily do that, but like I think his first one to 20 wins this game. Honestly, I'm not crapping on the Titans' offense. It's way better than the Bears' offense. I can name a high school football team that's better than the Bears' offense. But I feel like the Bears' defense is good enough to like slow this team down because they've been in a rough patch, and like you were saying, maybe Nick Foles makes just a couple plays that puts him over the top.
um, is the Vikings line out now? Can you take that one? Because
Dude, I didn't see it when I was looking at it earlier. Let me check. Ugh.
I'll just move on to my next pick then because I like the Texans minus 6.5. Basically, my strategy the past couple weeks has just been fade the Jaguars. I think that they're a team that is just gonna lose. They're just gonna keep losing. I honestly like we said coming into the season, they had that big win against the Colts, but they've lost every game since. Um, I just fade the Jaguars. That's really it. I think that the Texans had their way with them last matchup. Now with no Minshew, it's just going to be tough on their offense.
Who's the quarterback
Especially
starting again?
because the Jake Luton. I've
Jake
actually
Luton.
watched a decent amount of tape on Jake Luton. Um, the thing is too though is that while the Texans defense sucks, they can at least create some pressure, which is what you don't want if you're taking the Jaguars and you're a fan of Jake Luton. Because Jake Luton, from what I had seen, now I didn't do like a whole giant film analysis on him. I was just watching him mainly because I really liked Isaiah Hodgins, and screw it, more football, I'll take it. Um, but Jake Luton, he's a big kid and he's got a decent arm. I think he's got an underrated arm, especially compared to other evaluators. I think he's got a better arm than people really realize. He's got more of a winded up release than you would think for a big guy, but it works. Um, he ran a pro style offense at Oregon State, a lot of play action, a lot of snaps from under center, getting rid of the ball quick. I think the big issues for Jake Luton though are first, he was kind of like a one read quarterback. So let's see what happens when his first read gets taken away. And second, I wasn't a huge fan of his throwing off platform. I thought that, once the pocket starts to collapse or he has to start rolling out and make a throw on the run, that's where you start to see some issues with Luton. So I think the big matchup for this game is going to be the Texans defensive line against the Jaguars offensive line, which is a matchup the Jaguars could win. It's just I'm not going to buy anything about the Jaguars this week. So take the Texans -6.5. I just love this line under a touchdown. I think the Jaguars are losing by at least 7 points. They've lost their past 3 games by 10 plus. They've lost 4 out of their last 5 games by 10 plus. So give me the anything with the Jaguars under a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, I like that pick too. Like the Jags suck. So, um, my next pick, I got. Oh, I got your team. Yeah, because I picked your
The
team.
Steelers.
Yeah, I got Steelers again. Been riding them all year. 6-1 against the spread. Playing the Cowboys. Cowboys suck. 14-point spread. I know it's a lot of points, but last week, I mean, the spread for the Jets was 19.5. They couldn't even cover this. This is a hot team. I like it could be a little bit of a trap game where they just let their foot off the gas, but I don't think so. I mean, I just I'm a guy like if a team keeps on winning me money, I don't care what the line's at. I just see money on the table. I take it.
Okay, nice. Um, I'm gonna be taking my next pick is gonna be the Panthers +10.5 against the Chiefs. Um, this is a wacky line. I know that the Panthers are a team that could get blown out, but to be completely honest, I think this could be a one-score game. And the fact that I'm getting a half a point over 10 just makes me that much more confident because Panthers played the Saints really, really close. That was a winnable game for them. Obviously, the Saints' offense right now isn't looking as nice as the Chiefs' offense, but I think the Chiefs are, at home are getting a little too many points. I think if I were the bookmaker, I would only give this game about 8.5 points. Um, with that being said, I think it's just one or 2 points too many for the Chiefs. I think the Panthers are a good candidate to keep this a one-score game. Teddy Bridgewater should play. If he's not playing, then just run away. um,
PJ Walker's not winning that game.
yeah, I'll take it. Just assuming that Teddy Bridgewater will play. If he's not, then I'm just gonna cry a little bit, couple tears of sadness. But I think the Panthers have one of the more underrated defensive groups. It's a young group, so now that we're getting over that halfway point in the season, a lot of these rookies aren't rookies anymore. Um, and I think offensively, like the Panthers are a team that have really shocked us. Matt Rule
Not last week though.
and Joe Brady have really shocked people with how much offensive production, especially through the air, they've been able to have. Robbie Anderson is looking like one of the steals of the offseason as like a pseudo number one with DJ Moore. And then you might be getting Christian McCaffrey back this week just to add to that production. I know Mike Davis has done a good job filling in for him, but no one's Christian McCaffrey at the end of the day. So I do think that if Teddy Bridgewater is playing and is playing at a good level, that the Panthers could keep this a one-score game. So I'll take that 10.5.
Pick is on Monday Night Football. It's the matchup of the century. It's the Jets versus the Patriots, and I'm taking Patriots -7. This is a simple bet to me. Jets suck, kind of like with your Jaguars. Like I'm just gonna fade the Jets. They're terrible, and like I said before, these are two teams that have not thrown a touchdown pass in a while, and one's gonna give, and I think Cam Newton's gonna throw not for one touchdown, but for two touchdowns. Cam Newton's gonna get
Two whole
two
touchdowns.
passing touchdowns. Yes, and listen, anybody's defense is good enough to stop the Jets. And dude, like if I'm getting the Jets the Patriots are -7 against the Jets, and I understand this isn't the same Patriots team we've seen in the past, but like, come on, like you're not chopping at the bit right now, like -7. Give me that. I think that's an easy game to bet on.
All right, so for my last pick, it's going to be a little teaser. Teasers have cooled off a little bit from earlier in the season, but we're still going. We're not giving up on them. So I'm going to be taking a 6-point teaser. I'm going to be getting the Steelers -8 and the Texans at minus a half. So, um, pretty standard logic here. The Steelers, I'm just getting them to under 10 points. Even though I do think that they'll cover 14, just in case any bull crap happens where the Cowboys may be coming back late in the game or they make it a closer game than expected, I can at least get it under 10. And the Texans, I took their spread straight up, getting them at a half. It's basically just picking them to win. And I do think that that is a lock against the Jaguars team that is missing Gardner Minshew.
Like that teaser.
Is that all your picks?
Yeah, that's all the ones I got right now. I okay. I'll do one more pick.
Oh, a surprise pick. A
Surprise
bonus.
pick. Surprise pick. Um, dude, am I about to do it? I'm about to do it. I'm taking Falcons.
No, you're not.
Take Falcons. No, I'm not taking Falcons. Surprise pick though, because I just want to add one more in my card. I have no faith in this pick at all. I'm not gonna give you a reason why for this pick. Giants +2.5. G-Man getting it done. Like I said, like Cam Newton's going to score 2 touchdowns. Daniel Jones is only going to throw. He's only going to turn over the ball 2 times this game. So that should put the G-Man up top.
I mean, honestly, in that matchup, getting any points is probably good because that's just a crapshoot to who wins that one. So
They beat him
getting two and
last
a half
time.
points, like screw it.
They beat him last time. Giants +2.5. Like it's going to be a close game. We know it's going to be a close game. But I even
I'm
like the
honestly surprised that I'm surprised that the Washington football team is actually a favorite in that game because I know everyone's a little down on the Giants, but they've had some good performances this season. That was a close game against a really good Bucks team. They played it
yeah.
close against the Rams. They had a close game against against the Bears. Like these are one score games against playoff caliber teams, and like you said, they had already beaten the Washington football team this season. So the fact that you're getting 2.5 points is pretty nice in this matchup. I'll give you that.
I mean, I dang it, dude. I should have made them my dog of the week. But like, yeah, like the Giants are just a couple less turnovers away from in this division.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're completely right. And if I think the problem with the Giants is just they're kind of like a lesser version of the Chargers because the Giants just their roster sucks. They're just a team that doesn't really know how to win football games late in the game. They're in a whole lot of games, one score, um, and even against a team like the Eagles, they had a two-score lead, but they're a team that needs to learn how to win football games, how to put the exclamation mark on a good performance. So until they're not able to do that, I'd be very skeptical picking the Giants as my dog of the week. But you're getting 2.5 points against a team that they've actually been able to beat, a
But
team
you
that
picked
might
the dog of the
have a
week
worse
last week.
offense than they do. Yeah, they were my dog of the week last week, but they were close to winning. God damn it!
God damn it!
We're a 2-point conversion away from getting an OT. Daniel Jones didn't love turning the ball over. I could be 1-0 on my dog of the week with a double-digit spread. I'd be treated like a god amongst the dogs.
And if the 49ers did just like all die this season, I might be 1-0.
Yeah, if they didn't just get, that like that sniper meme. It's like
Yeah.
that was your dog of the week, just sniped.
But I got
But
49ers tonight, man. +7.5. I like it. Give it to me.
yeah, this episode is obviously not gonna before Thursday night football. Thursday night football starting in like about
Two
an
hours.
hour and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for those of you who have managed to make it this far, we will give you a word of the wise. Thursday night is for the dog. Thursday night has been very kind to the dog. I'm actually the dog has hit at least like the past 3 games, probably more. I'm honestly not sure. Because the Jets that one game against the Broncos, were they even a dog?
It was just pick 'em. It was just
Yeah, it was just pick 'em. So
who
you
you
can't
thought it
even
was
give
going
the
to win.
Broncos that. I think the Broncos opened up as a favorite, but the people were on the Jets, so it got betted down to a pick 'em. Um,
That game pissed me
but
off.
yeah, the ever since week 1 with that Chiefs game, it's been super friendly to the dog. So Thursday night, if you're on a favorite, watch out, and if you like a dog that week, maybe put an extra unit on it. But if you've made it this far, thank you so much for listening. This episode will drop on YouTube as long as it doesn't get taken down because we had some of those clips on there. So let's pray to the heavens it doesn't. But thank you so much for listening and peace out.